Imagine a city, not one that grew organically, defined by the messy footsteps of its inhabitants, but one sprung fully formed from a singular, uncompromising geometric idea. For a century, visionary architects have pursued the dream of urban purity, trying to wipe the chaotic slate clean and replace it with perfect, rigid forms. In the 1920s, that dream was a grid of towers, 24 isolated, cruciform skyscrapers that threatened to erase and flatten the historic heart of Paris. Its goal was purity, separating the functions of life into discrete, efficient points, creating a perfect arrangement of dots on a Cartesian grid. Today, that same ambition manifests as an impossible line of mirrored walls, carving a 170-kilometer scar across the Saudi Arabian desert. It is the flagship project of the colossal NEOM initiative, conceived to redefine urban existence. Both visions were built on the same foundation, the belief that chaos could be tamed through absolute geometric dogma, be it a grid or a line can solve complex societal problems. But while the Parisian vision died on the drawing board, rejected as an authoritarian nightmare, the Saudi dream is dying right now, struggling against the brutal realities of physics, finance, and human psychology. We were promised an endless, linear megacity for 9 million residents. But today, because of unimaginable complications, all that remains of the 8.8 trillion fantasy is a single, expensive dash. How did the unbuilt dream of a grid of dots of 1925 set the stage for the collapse of a 170-kilometer line in 2025? The history of modern architecture has always been a battle between fantasy and feasibility. Today, we're dissecting that conflict by comparing two projects separated by a century, but united by a radical, top-down ideology: Le Corbusier's Plan Voisin and the line. We will reveal how the ultimate collapse of the line's grandest promise was an inevitable conclusion set in motion almost 100 years ago. Le Corbusier saw the traditional European city, especially the dense core of Paris, as obsolete, chaotic, and stifling. He believed that architectural design needed to become a tool for restructuring society itself. His solution, unveiled in 1925, was Plan Voisin, a proposal to demolish part of the right bank and replace it with extreme geometric order. The core of his philosophy was an almost religious faith in ideal geometry. He believed that if the plan was correctly generated according to universal geometric principles, it would bring harmony and balance to all aspects of life. The structure was founded on his earlier work, the modern city for 3 million inhabitants. This ideal city was organized on a 400-meter by 400-meter grid. The central element within this grid were 24 identical cruciform skyscrapers, each reaching 60 stories high. These freestanding towers and the dots were meticulously spaced apart in a Cartesian logic. This system aimed to achieve vertical density, elevating the population and multiplying functionality upward. This freed the ground beneath the dots to be reclaimed for vast, healthy green parks and open spaces. The towers themselves were sleek, utilitarian, and rejected ornament in favor of geometric abstraction. This standardization, Le Corbusier argued, represented democratic clarity where geometry became justice, ensuring equitable access to resources like daylight. Crucially, Plan Voisin was designed for the machine age. Le Corbusier recognized that mechanical transportation meant the traditional street was obsolete. His plan fully embraced the burgeoning technology of the automobile, proposing elevated motorways running at right angles to manage traffic flow efficiently. This wasn't a city built for pedestrians. It was a machine for living, intended for efficiency, clarity, and standardization. Critics at the time found the plan horrifying and barbaric, viewing its totalitarian design where every cell was the same and arranged in only 3 basic ways as authoritarian. Yet for Le Corbusier, this standardization represented democratic clarity where geometry became justice, ensuring no citizen received more daylight or access than another. Plan Voisin was never built, yet its fundamental principles of vertical density, separating functions, zoning, and prioritizing the engineered flow of traffic became the spiritual ancestor of post-war urban renewal projects worldwide. It set the precedent that a single pure geometric vision could, and perhaps should, override centuries of organic human development. Though Plan Voisin was never built, critics viewed its centralized, imposed design as authoritarian. However, its core principles, the use of standardized, freestanding dots of high density within a rigid plan, went on to profoundly influence post-war urban renewal across the globe. It set the precedent that a single pure geometric form could be imposed upon a population to solve social and physical chaos. If Corbusier set the blueprint for rigid geometric tyranny with his dots of towers, how did the Saudis escalate it? A century after Le Corbusier, the impulse to impose pure geometry on urban life reappeared in the Saudi desert. The Line, the flagship project of the Saudi Vision 2030, NEOM mega project, is a radical rejection of traditional urban growth. If Plan Voisin aimed to organize discrete dots across a horizontal plane, the Line sought to compress all life into a singular, elongated vertical stack. The geometry of the Line: if Plan Voisin was a Cartesian grid, the Line is an endless vector. The initial vision was colossal, a single structure stretching 170 kilometers, 106 miles, a distance equivalent to building nearly 8,500 Taipei end-to-end. This megastructure consists of two parallel mirrored buildings, 200 meters wide and towering 500 meters high. This height makes it taller than the Empire State Building and puts it among the world's tallest structures. Zero-gravity urbanism. This geometry operates on zero-gravity urbanism, stacking all city functions vertically. The promise is extreme efficiency and hyper-proximity, achieving a 5-minute city where residents can access 80% of their weekly needs by walking or vertical transit. The hyper-density, nearly 6 times the density of Manila, is designed to accommodate 9 million residents. To manage the immense 170-kilometer length and a projected population of 9 million, the design relied entirely on an ultra-high-speed transit system concealed underground, often called the spine. This train was supposed to transport citizens from one end to the other in just 20 minutes, requiring speeds exceeding 550 kilometers per hour, 317 miles per hour. The very concept of the linear city was engineered around the efficiency of this single, high-speed line. Like Plan Voisin, the Line is a totalizing system. It aims for transparency, zero emissions, and a harmonious balance with nature. However, critics argue that the very idea of a 500-meter-tall glass wall in the desert creates catastrophic problems, acting as a giant greenhouse, where temperatures exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 degrees Celsius. Its linear nature slices through ecosystems, fragmenting habitats and posing a death trap for migrating birds, and its immense steel and concrete construction is estimated to generate 1.8 billion tons of carbon dioxide, the equivalent of 4 years of the UK's total emissions. The Line, like Corbusier's grid, prioritizes the ideals of the few over the experience of the many, risking sterility and predictability. It is an elegant solution on paper, but one that depends on every piece of the tightly interlocked system working perfectly all at once. The Line's radical physical geometry is inseparable from its equally radical governing philosophy: high-tech, centralized control, the aesthetic of a cyberpunk city. This is where the clean utopian renders intersect with the shadowy concept of total technological management. The Line is explicitly branded as a cognitive city where advanced technology and artificial intelligence (AI) are central to its operations. AI is intended to manage services autonomously. NEOM's ambition is to turn data collected from smartphones, homes, and sensors into a currency, allowing the AI to predict and customize every resident's needs. This AI is intended to be the city's beating heart, using sensors and facial recognition to anticipate needs. This hyper-management system is so intrusive that the city's designers cite examples where the house checks a person's metabolism and the fridge suggests healthier food options. Robotics will handle logistics, including automated deliveries, with robot factories producing prefabricated segments for construction. This extreme centralization raises profound dystopian concerns, Critics view the walls on both sides and the extreme compression as creating a Star Wars-themed dystopian prison planet and drawing inspiration from Blade Runner, leading to fears of authoritarian control. In such a highly compressed, AI-managed environment, the risk exists that those who control the system could tighten the rules, or worse, stop asking what you want altogether. Critics worry that the high-density structure, with walls on both sides and AI monitoring everything, risks becoming a form of authoritarian control. Hyper-planning means sacrificing the messiness and unpredictability that fosters human creativity and identity in traditional cities. The plan prioritizes the ideals of the few over the experience of the many. The lack of organic growth and sheer rigidity risk creating a sterile, predictable environment. The massive 500-meter-tall mirrored structure introduces a dangerous architectural hierarchy. The upper half benefits from daylight, while the lower half is heavily impacted, suggesting that gravity and access to light-shaped status. The line embodies the mindset of fighting against nature with the promise of better technology. It relies on futuristic, extremely untested technology, such as an artificial moon, flying taxis, robot maids, and glow-in-the-dark sand. This approach fights against design fundamentals rather than following traditional, sustainable practices. The line is a monumental statement built as part of the NEOM region, a master plan to shift Saudi Arabia from oil dependence to a tech-driven economy, Vision 2030. This is a high-stakes gamble where the entire concept hinges on the high-speed transit backbone. What happened when the reality of engineering and finance crashed into this hyper-efficient fantasy, forcing the removal of the spine? While Plan Voisin died as an unrealized blueprint, the line is currently transitioning from an impossible utopia to a highly constrained, built reality, having suffered the most dramatic scaling back in megaproject history. Drone footage and satellite images confirm vast excavation, with thousands of trucks moving earth, the volume of 65 Great Pyramids of Giza, to prepare the foundation trenches. However, the geometric ideal of the 170-kilometer line has already shattered under the weight of engineering complexity and budgetary reality. The price tag for the full vision has ballooned dramatically, making the original $500 billion estimate look like peanuts. Experts estimate the final cost could reach $8.8 trillion, roughly the GDP of the Middle East and Africa combined. This unsustainable financial reality forced Saudi Arabia to make a critical, strategic retreat. The reduction to a dash, the 170-kilometer vision, is essentially dead for our lifetime. Instead of the full line by 2030, current construction is focusing exclusively on a scaled-back segment known as the Hidden Marina. This pilot phase is just 2.4 kilometers long, a 98.5% reduction of the intended length. The target population is scaled down to less than 300,000 residents by 2030 instead of 9 million. Even this minimal segment, Module 45, 46, and 47, will require foundations costing the equivalent of 2 Great Pyramids and 1 Menkaure each. This initial 2.4 kilometers is estimated at $140 billion. As sources note, building just one lone module would look less like a revolution and more like a very expensive mirrored donkey shed. This stripped-down starter pack includes megatenders for 16,000 foundation piles in the primary decks, all wrapped in the colossal mirror glass facade. The most damning evidence of the vision's collapse involves its central transit system. To free up funds for initial construction, Module 46, the high-speed rail line, the spine, has been postponed or canceled. The mountain tunnel portals required for the spine were found mothballed. This sacrifice is the ultimate architectural betrayal of the linear concept. The entire 170-kilometer city was mathematically justified by the promise of 20-minute end-to-end transit. Without the spine, the dream of the grand 170-kilometer line is dead. The purpose of this sacrifice was financial, to free up $1 billion needed to build the raft foundations for the 2.4-kilometer segment. Without that core, rapid transit connection, the structural and logical premise of the entire design collapses. Le Corbusier's dots on a grid were designed for the car, prioritizing flexibility and access around dense points. which allowed the plan to be rejected without systemic collapse. In contrast, the line's linear vector was designed solely for its high-speed train. Without the spine, the structure's logic dissolves. The result is an architectural paradox. Saudi Arabia is building a monumental dash, an intensely dense, 500-meter-tall vertical slice, physically isolated from the greater 170-kilometer vision it was meant to fulfill. The dream of the endless, functional line has been cut back to a tiny, self-contained dot, attempting to prove viability on a local scale while abandoning its defining global ambition. We have explored a century of architectural extremism driven by pure geometry. Le Corbusier sought to impose order on the chaos of Paris with a rigid grid of standardized towers, the dots aiming for horizontal efficiency and the reign of the automobile. His plan died as a blueprint, rejected as too absolute. The Crown Prince sought to impose order on the desert with a single, uncompromising vertical vector. The line, under NEOM, attempted to create technological perfection, infused with a cyberpunk philosophy of centralized AI control and hyperdensity. But its reality has been conquered by physics and economics, restricting the vast project to an expensive, constrained dash. Le Corbusier dreamt of a pure machine for living, where the car was king. The line dreamt of a self-correcting cognitive machine, where the car was banished and AI governed all. But the ultimate fate of both projects highlights the profound tension in architecture, the conflict between the elegant abstraction of the drawing board and the messy, unforgiving reality of execution. Le Corbusier's plan, Voisin, proved politically and socially unfeasible, ending its life as a blueprint. The line's attempt to be a seamless, highly efficient cognitive city reached a literal physical limit. The soaring costs and engineering impossibilities forced a retreat, scaling down the ultimate line to a dissolved, multi-trillion-dollar dash. This dash, still monumentally ambitious at 500 meters high and 2.4 kilometers long, stands as a mirrored prototype, a bet that proving the concept on a small scale can revive the larger dream. But the failure of the full structure to materialize, coupled with the axing of the transport backbone, proves that even in the 21st century, geometry cannot conquer economics and physics. If the geometric clarity of Le Corbusier's grid of dots and the technological efficiency of the line's vertical stack were meant to create urban perfection, where did these principles achieve their total, shocking fulfillment in the real world? Don't miss a chapter of this history. If this deep dive into architecture and philosophy was intriguing, please like this video, share your thoughts on whether the line is a dash or a doomed dream in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel to ensure you catch the next video in our series. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.